Okay, so as we go further into the woods and on the trails, we're going to look for signs of animals, because a lot of times you're not going to see the animals that you want to see. You're making some noise, there's other things happening. Animals like to hide when they hear people coming or when they hear animals coming. So spotting an animal might get a little tricky, but you can find some signs that they left behind that they were there. So if you look up into our tree, way up here, you can see a big cluster of sticks and leaves. What do you think might have made that? Could it have been a bird? Or maybe something a little furrier? Something with a furry, bushy tail. There's a song about that. So that's a squirrel nest, most likely sitting up in that tree. They pile sticks and that into the branches of the tree to hide in and keep themselves warm. So that's one sign we can find. Let's see if we can find some other ones. Come on. Found another sign of an animal on this tree. If you notice, there's a couple of these holes. There's a larger one way up here. What kind of animal do you think made these holes? Something maybe that can poke in there. You might even hear the sound sometimes. What do you think the animal did that? And why do you think they're doing that? What are they trying to get after in here that they're poking and tapping to make those holes? Think about it for a moment and we'll tell you the answer in a moment. So these holes are made by some kind of woodpecker. Judging by the size, it's a small one. Because if it was a pileated, which is the big woodpecker, they'd be much bigger and almost square. So probably a small woodpecker. And what do you think they're getting after? They're getting after the insects in the tree. So if you look at this tree, it's not doing so great. It doesn't look like it's alive anymore. So there's probably lots of insects in here that have eaten away at the tree and made it to lose all its leaves and everything. So the woodpecker will tap and make these holes to get to the insects. So another good sign that an animal was here. We have another sign of an animal right here. Move that out of the way so you can see it real good. Now this one you'll find, it's a mammal, and you'll find it near a lake. What do you think made that mark? You had to chew it. Give you a moment to see if you can think and guess what it is. That's from a beaver. So they would have chewed the tree to knock it down. They would have ate the heart or the cambium, the soft part of the tree, and then they would have taken the log away to make their dam, their house. So that's from a beaver. So we found another sign of an animal. If you come down here to the base of the tree, you can see a little bit there, and there's actually a little piece right over here. What do you think this is, and what do you think it's from? I'll give you a hint. This looks like the tail. Take a moment, think about what might have left that behind. So what we have, this is snake skin. I'm going to pick it up. It's not going to hurt me, but I will want to wash my hands afterward. That's snake skin. So that's the scales of the snake. It kind of peels off as they grow. So snakes don't change into a larger shirt like you and I do. They have to grow out of their skin again every time. And they rub against rocks and trees to get this off, and then they've got a new set of skin for a few months, and they'll do it again. They do it about 4 times a year. That's a sign that this snake was here rubbing against these logs and these trees to get this off. And we know from this tree here, we've seen a black rat snake that hangs out in the tree and gets in the sun. So they can climb very well. They'll climb up and hang out on those branches. So to find this below the tree, that's not uncommon. So a black rat snake, or an eastern rat snake, shedding its skin. Look for muddy patches on the ground and on trails. Some animals will leave their footprints behind. Here's one. So you can see how large it is. What do you think made that track? Pretty common animal in Pennsylvania. Usually you see them running across the road with their white tail flipped up. Sometimes they got antlers. Got a guess? This is from a white-tailed deer. So you can see its 2 hoof marks. It's a pretty common find on the ground. If you have a structure like a barn or a shed or even the side of your house, chances are you'll have one of these stuck to the side. Look up somewhere where there's a nice flat spot for them to build, but birds will build their nests on these little platforms. So this one and the other ones like it, you'll see a bunch of them down the side of our pavilion. Those are from a barn swallow. The barn swallow has the forked tail, blue-gray body, and then the red belly. And they call them barn swallows, as you might guess, because they live in barns or structures like it. So these are barn swallow nests. Also in our pavilion, we come this way up high on our rafter. Those long tubes are made out of mud. What kind of animal do you think made those? It almost looks like an apartment building with the windows. Those are from a mud dauber wasp, or a mud wasp. So they'll use mud to make these tubes and lay their eggs inside. And again, they like to put them on the inside of walls and crevices. There's even one way over in the corner. You can see it from there. So we got mud daubers and barn swallows.